Prologue. The Murray Building was a decrepit relic from the 70s. 10 apartments per floor, 5 floors up. The disillusioned and breadliners lived there. It kept them out of harm's way on the streets. Plus, the owner of the Murray Building kept the rent low and the lights on. At night, the building looked like a skeleton. Each apartment's light appeared to be frozen in time, like jagged rows of yellowed teeth. And during the day, the Murray Building resembled a slab of concrete vomited by a skyscraper. It wasn't a pleasant building to live in. The superintendent, a Mr. Karpov, worked the hallways like a prison guard, threatening individuals who stepped out of line, each transgression changing with the seasons. One couldn't keep a light on past 12, or one's door had to be locked from 8 p.m. onwards. Mr. Karpov always had an excuse. If someone did step out of line, Karpov would charge them a nominal fee to assure their safety from the Russian mafia. There was no Russian mafia. Karpov used the money to fuel his drug trade in the basement. 2 hits for $1. He often shared his misbehaving secrets with some of the older residents, like Mrs. Rose, who scolded him on a daily basis. Then there was Jesse, a black kid from a bad neighborhood. He was the Murray Building's in-house doorman. Just shy of 19, Jesse welcomed the residents with a witty quip. "Mrs. Rose, where them bones you hid from us? Discovery Channel would do a number on your fossilized remains." Everyone loved Jesse. They even cooked meals for him, especially Mrs. Rose, the only tenant left who'd moved in when the building was erected in the 70s. Nina Corletti moved into the Murray Building against the advice of her friends. She had a 5-year-old daughter, Mia, and not a cent to spare. Her well-to-do Italian family cut her off when she turned 18. She arrived at home one morning with a baby bump the size of Mount Everest and found all of her belongings on the curb. Nina's family viewed her teenage pregnancy as a disgrace and a Catholic sin. She spoke to her mom a couple of times afterwards, but she always ended up crying and yelling at her mother in Italian. Now she worked 2 jobs, as a waitress and a cleaner. Mia stayed with Mrs. Rose during the day. She baked cookies and gave her daughter lessons in etiquette, the perfect combo for a 5-year-old kid. Nina never listened to advice. She blamed her Italian personality, so when she saw the ad on Craigslist, she jumped at the chance to move into the Murray Building. $30 per week, a fully renovated and fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment on the 5th floor. How could she resist? After all, Vincent was growing tired of her and Mia bunking in his living room. He had no place to smoke his bong. So, Nina thanked him and left his place the very same day. Once, during summer, Nina's childhood friend came to visit her. Marita Merkowitz, a first-generation Polish immigrant, gave the apartment one look and laughed until she cried. Nina wanted to know what was so funny, but Marita merely burst out laughing. Nina eventually found out that Marita's family had moved into the Murray Building when they arrived in the States. The drug lords had wanted money every week. This was in the late 90s, and Marita, at the tender age of 2, watched her mother and father get gunned down by a certain drug lord who allegedly still roamed the streets. Marita had a stress reaction and consequently disappeared from Nina's life, blocked her on Facebook, and moved on. Nina never got over Marita's hysterical outburst. It was strangely juxtaposed against the stark fluorescent lights in the apartment that evening, akin to seeing a contrast of an old photograph. In fact, Nina once told Mrs. Rose that Marita's outburst reminded her of the ingenues from the early 20s. Scream and cry and faint. Mrs. Rose laughed at the metaphor and instructed Nina to get new friends. So she did. A male friend. His name was Arthur, an elderly gentleman with thin, white hair and a Sam Elliott mustache. He helped Nina secure her current jobs. He helped her financially. No strings attached. And also left something for Mia in his will. He was merely a father figure to Nina. Nothing more, nothing less. He died on Christmas Eve, 2 years ago. Nina remembered the call from his daughter. "You fucked my father for his money. Now he's dead. Get out of our fucking lives, you worthless little bitch." Nina went to the funeral, but stayed behind in the shadows. Arthur was her lifeline, both as a friend and a financial aid. His loss was significant. She wept for days, even slept in Mrs. Rose's apartment for a couple of months. She couldn't face the world, but somehow, from some deep place within, Nina gained the strength she needed to fight the contested will in court. The judge ruled in her favor. Mia received $1 million tied up in a trust fund until her 18th birthday. Nina cried. Her daughter would never have to face the same hardships. She was set for life.